And I can still remember standing there holding our signs up. And of course, there's some yelling and shouting going back and forth. And two of the Christian ladies were on their hands and knees the entire time of this protest, right by the cones, praying for us. And of course, we told them we'd let them know if the prayer worked, but it didn't seem to.
Hi, I'm Aaron Raw, and you're watching Atheist Edge.
Yard of the month.
Yard of the month. I don't think I'll win that again in the city of North Richland Hills, Texas. Back in 2009, I'm sitting in my living room one evening about 6 o'clock, and the doorbell rings. And it was a young lady. She answered the door and said, "I'm with the city of North Richland Hills, and I'd like to inform you that you have won Yard of the Month. And what we would like to do is put a sign in your yard and leave it up for a month, and also take some pictures of your yard to post on our website, and as well invite you to the next city council meeting so you can be recognized and receive a little coupon from the local nursery."
I think I know where this is going.
So I said, that'd be great. So the next day I go out to the website looking for the pictures. And I'm poking around the website and I'm thinking, well, how do they do that? I couldn't find any pictures, so I went out to city council meetings and they're all videoed. And I thought, well, I wonder how they do this little presentation. So I brought up the first video, and of course they opened it up like a church service with a prayer. So I immediately write up an email to the city of North Richland Hills stating my position on the fact that I didn't feel it was right to open that council meeting with a Christian prayer, and would they please discontinue that.
It was sectarian.
Oh yeah,
Totally.
Because a lot of them try to stand on the whole it's ceremonial deism.
Really? Is that how they get around it?
That's how they get around it. They
Oh,
say
there's
it's
a
not
bunch of
sectarian.
ways.
Yeah.
I deal with this all the time.
Yeah, this is his thing. He's been
So
doing this
anyway,
for a lot.
continue the story. So we trade a few emails, and of course it comes back to me that they're not going to discontinue or even discontinue that prayer for the one meeting for me to get my award. So I told them I'm not going to show up to get my award. So they have the city council meeting, and the next day I get a FedEx package with my certificate and my coupon from the city of North Richland Hills.
Is there a letter in there like you're never going to be invited back?
Well, this is just the beginning. So this was in 2009, and it might have flowed over to 2010. So I contacted Freedom from Religion Foundation, got them to write a letter about it, and got with Metroplex Atheist. I wasn't an officer yet, but I was a member going to the monthly business meetings. And we said, let's have a protest at the next city council meeting and protest these prayers they're opening these city council meetings with. So we had at that next business meeting, we all got together and made our signs and set the date of a council meeting to protest. So I'm driving up to the protest, and I'm starting to make turns towards the city hall, and I'm noticing all these cars up and down every block for half a mile. I'm going, the first thought that came into my head was, damn, a lot of people come to these city council meetings. So I go down to the edge, I turn the corner where I can see the front parking lot, and Terry McDonald, one of our other members, is standing there waving me in, saying, park over here, park over here. And I look, and there must have been 4 or 5 TV trucks with antennas 40 feet in the air, and the entrance was lined with orange cones, police lines on both sides. And here's the group, Metroplex Atheist, about 20 of us, 25 maybe. And on the other side of that walkway, there must have been 250 evangelical Christians that we didn't expect, counter-protest. It turns out that the PR lady I was trading emails with at the city of North Richland Hills, her last name was Peters, and the guy with the bullhorn over here with this big crowd, last name was Peters. Now, I don't know if they're related, but I don't know how they found out we were having a protest. So, but there's something going on there, right? So we were outnumbered 10-1.
We're used to it.
But we always do peaceful protests. And I can still remember standing there holding our signs up, and of course there's some yelling and shouting going back and forth. And two of the Christian ladies were on their hands and knees the entire time of this protest, right by the cones, praying for us. And of course, we told them we'd let them know if the prayer worked, but it didn't seem to go very far at the time. So anyway, that was, since then we've been back to this same city. It's the city I live in, North Richland Hills, with doing city input, citizens input to city council members, expressing the fact that it's exclusionary, it's divisive, it's against the Establishment Clause, and of course that always falls on deaf ears. And we've been back protesting them with an "In God We Trust" sign they put up in the city hall. You were there, and did citizens input on that. But back to the first protest of the council prayers that I found out about when I was looking for my Yard of the Month pictures on the website. So anyway, but when all was said and done, and when I parked my car and started walking up to the building, some lady walking down the sidewalk said, "Are you that Randy Word guy?" I don't know if she worked for the city or she was with the, but my name had gotten spread around. I don't know if all the 250 Christians knew it or not. But I figure that I probably won't win Yard of the Month again.
Never again. That's this town I grew up in, North Richland Hills. That North Richland Hills Baptist Church is the church I got kicked out of. You didn't know that?
No.
Yeah.
Council members to give invocations in Christians. Okay. That's the same way North Richland Hills does it. Now, Rowlett had taken a policy from the Liberty Council for free, right? Where they invited people from the community in, but you had to have a presence there, you had to have a church there. Liberty Council that does free Christian defense wrote this whole policy up, and it fit under the Greece versus Galloway ruling.
Which versus Galloway?
Greece, New York. Greece, New York, town of Greece, New York versus.
They were conducting sectarian prayers, and they were forced to open it up to.
But the difference was with like this Lund and the one here in North Richland Hills. They only allow members of the council to get. This is a worse violation than the Greece Galloway, which kind of hit on. You got to let it. You got to be fair. You can't discriminate. You got to let anybody give it. Right.
It has to be inclusive.
Well, this was so exclusive that they only allow members of the council to give the prayers.
Right.
And in Rowan County, they were all Christian prayers with some proselytizing. In North Richland Hills, when I went up there and did the input on God We Trust, one of the lady council people gave the prayer and actually did a frigging sermon in the prayer. Yes.
No, because you were there? Or would it have been that way otherwise?
I think it would have been that way anyway. I think it would have been that way anyway.
Dude, they are just...
So anyway, that Lund versus Rowan County, which we, as atheists, won, said, no, this is worse than the Greece Galloway. You can't be doing that. Blah, blah. When I don't know if Rowan County's going to appeal that or not. Neither did FFRF at this point. But it so paralleled or matched up precisely with what's going on in North Richland Hills that I sent a letter to FFRF saying, hey, this is the same exact thing. What can we do? But I still get the same kickback that we always get from the national organizations being in the Fifth Circuit, that they're not going to spend their resources on what might not be a winning proposition.
Unless a Ten Commandments monument goes up in front of a city hall.
There are exceptions.
Yeah.
But it's got to be something that's very, quote, winnable if possible.
It's got to be slam dunk.
For instance, like the American Humanists filed a suit on against Birdville School District.
Yeah,
for
HEB, right?
Yeah, well, no, Birdville School District.
Yeah,
That's next door to HEB.
Haltom City, Haltom, Richland.
It's where I live.
Yeah.
I'm in Birdville School District. Because they were having students voluntarily come in and give an opening prayer. And the Fifth Circuit ruled that, well, the school board's really like a legislative body, like a city council, which obviously they're not.
No.
You got kids there, you got kids coming to those things to get awards and recognition. So you still got that captive, impressionable high school. So it was just the weirdest thing.
Captive, impressionable. That's
the key.
Yes.
Is that they're captive. It's captive.
That's why we have a much better chance of winning separation of church and state issues in the public schools than we do in a city council or prayer. But this one, with the American Humans lost it. They appealed it and lost that, and they're trying to get it to the Supreme Court now.
Oh, that ain't gonna go well for him either, though. Not with Gorsuch.
Well, you know, they
true.
say that, but it's kind of interesting in the Supreme Court. Even
They can surprise you.
they can surprise you
Yeah.
because even Roberts, you know, he's voted the total opposite way that the Christian conservatives wanted him to vote on a few things.
They can,
And
sometimes
like
they can
gay
think
marriage.
unbiased.
And
Sometimes.
yeah,
Sometimes.
so you don't know, but and certainly we don't have a Supreme Court that favors our cause right now,
No.
and it's going to be a long time before we do. And they can twist things anyway. It's just like people that interpret the Bible. You got these
Yeah.
Supreme Court; they can twist and interpret the Constitution too. They do it all the time.
That is the judicial branch's function, is to interpret the law. I mean,
Yeah, is it constitutional or not? So anyway, but all sorts. But anyway, they sent FFRF sent a letter saying that, you know, they said we don't have the resources to do it. It was the ACLU that did this case out in Rowan County. So I've still got the option of going to the ACLU here in Fort Worth and seeing if they will do something. But FFRF always counsels against that because they say there's too big a chance of losing. That would hurt us overall. So we're in the Fifth Circuit and in Duffel, we're screwed for getting any legal action to speak of. We do have the Burville School District thing going on, but the reason American Humans probably took that is because it was a school issue. And then they turn around and say, no, that's a legislative body. It's not a legislative body. They might set some policies and rules for schools, but they don't make laws like a legislative body.
There was didn't we just reach out to them also? They sent a letter, it wasn't an actual legal letter, something about the city of Arlington and the artwork.
The artwork.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, I contacted FFRF about that. The city of Arlington, in conjunction with the Arlington Museum, did a project called the Texas Star Project or something like that.
Because all the pieces of art are stars.
Right. They took these 5-pointed stars that are about 4 feet tall and a foot thick, and they had different artists paint them up artistically. And they're placing them around at businesses and public buildings around Arlington. One of them landed at one of the police department properties. It's got a couple of Bible verses on it, so we took pictures and we sent them into FFRF and complained. They said that's even in a grayer area than
artistic
city
expression.
Council. And they said, just said we can write, and they wrote a letter. But it's kind of interesting how FFRF writes letters. If it's signed by one of their legal team, then it's could be a serious legal issue. If it's signed by one of the co-presidents, it was written by the lawyers, but signed by a co-president saying, hey, you really shouldn't be doing this, and they don't ask for a response in that case. So it's probably better even for us locally when it's in that gray of an area, even though it's still a violation.
At least a letter, hey, we
just
got
an
our eyes on
admonition
you.
or
Right.
something like that.
I don't
we
know
need
if
to
I
vote.
even have a problem with that one. Is artistic expression, we got to pick our battles too, so I don't know.
Right, and being a small
But if there was
group,
Quran verses all over that star, how long would that son of a bitch last? You know?
I mean, we also have to operate under the milieu that we have to realize that 80% of the nation are Bible believing Christians. I mean, we can't.
Majority
get rid of all
doesn't
of it.
equal.
Yeah. No.
Well,
I mean, they can't abuse.
no, it's the whole
their
purpose
position,
of the
but-
Bill of Rights is to protect the minorities.
Protect
Yeah,
minorities.
exactly.
The
right.
freedom
It's
of
not mob
speech.
rule. Like this, we're not under mob rule in this country.
Like the First Amendment protects unpopular speech,
Unpopular speech,
not
right.
popular speech.
Not yeah.
It protects the little guys.
Popular speech doesn't need to be protected.
Right.
It's the things that people say that are terrible and other people don't like that has to be protected, because you might be that person one day saying something that somebody doesn't like, and you want your speech protected just like theirs.
I've started drafting a letter to send to the university department head and stuff. Like, you weren't at the last business meeting.
Yeah.
I took the responsibility, so I'll do this. So I started drafting that letter. I've already written down some names and addresses. So I'm going to send that out and see what we get there. But we also, so that's one outreach to the public, is through the education system. The other is the churches. And at one time I wrote a letter and we mailed it out to half of the churches in Arlington. I found a database online that has any city in the country. It will give you the addresses of the churches and stuff in that city.
Oh,
So I just did a little merge on
Okay.
mailing labels, and but we only did half of them, which is about 100. So it's at least 200 something churches in just the city of Arlington. And we got a handful of responses back out of that 100. 2 or 3 of them were antagonistic. We're not going to let you come in and push your atheism in our church and all that. So I obviously didn't word the thing properly the first time.
I would like to see that letter.
I still
How
got
was it
some
worded?
knowledge of it, yeah. But we did get a Seventh-day Adventist church actually responded to the letter and invited us in.
Interesting.
Right. And typically, the churches that have either reached out to us or that we go to, it's almost typically always an adult Sunday school class.
Mhm.
Now, they've never had us in around any younger kids or a main church service that I know of. But there was a national invited an atheist to church day or something where they interviewed them at different churches around the
Oh, cool.
country. This was a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
which I need to revisit that and see if we can get something going.
But
maybe
that's
down
Seventh-day
the road.
Adventist. Are we still looking into going, or are we going to
We
do
did that. Well, we did it already.
Oh, is that the
This
one
was a
you-
couple of years
oh,
ago
okay,
when we
all
did
right.
this. But after we did that, the support in our group, which we're a Democratic group, I didn't have any support to do it again or carry it any further. Even though we got
no one wanted to
positive.
go with you?
No, nobody wanted to continue that program of sending letters out to the churches
I
saying
see.
we're available to come in and have a civil dialogue or ask an atheist or just dispel the myths and misconceptions about atheism, basically, and to find common ground and have a civil dialogue. So it was a reach out that was saying, hey, let's, just like anything else, if you got 2 people that are in conflict, first thing you want to do is get them together and talk. And that's the same thing with us and Christians.
That's what I'm all about, baby. I know. I've been piggybacking off of James and his Watchtower organization. They go in and they go to different churches and they do 5-week blocks of instruction on various topics: occult, fringe occults, Scientology. They got one on Mormonism, and they got one on atheism. And when they do their 5-week thing on atheism, they always ask, 4 of us come on and sit on a panel, and we sit up there, and that's when we do our thing. So.
But again, they basically reached out to us for that to happen
Yeah.
when they first showed up at our meetings
Mhm.
and so forth.
It's awesome.
So it wasn't us reaching out to them.
That's right.
That's where I've always seen Metroplex Atheist falling a little short on some of these initiatives. But again, we're small, it's all volunteer. But I have taken on that project, well, not to reach out to churches. Like I say, for some reason, I couldn't really raise the support for that in Metroplex Atheist.
And a huge chunk of us are just there for the social interaction,
Yeah.
which is not a bad thing. But a substantial percentage are not interested in doing that 4th of July parade. That was brutal, man. I mean, I don't mind going again, but that is work. That's not fun walking down the street, having everyone, cheering, and then you walk by and it's quiet. And then they start cheering again when you leave. I mean, that's a kick in the nuts,
Plus,
man.
you're out
It
there
is.
July 4th.
Randy called it the bubble of silence.
Yeah.
We were this bubble of silence in the parade.
We do that. We put that under our education initiative to educate the public.
Mhm.
We're patriotic too. So
I'll
again,
continue to
even
do
if
it.
it goes silent, even if it's not that pleasant, I still think it's
It's necessary.
necessary to
important.
keep the visibility out there to show that, hey, they're peaceful, they're carrying patriotic signs,
Yep.
and just kill them with niceness.
Atheist Edge. Walking the edge of what some consider offensive. But your feelings don't matter here, only facts. Edgy commentary on the dangers of doctrine, the foibles of faith, the bullshit of belief, the stupidity of superstition, and the idiocy of indoctrination. With razor-sharp wit, curiosity, and critical thought, we take an unblinking look at today's religions. We are Atheist Edge.